Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that, but don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's a new week of CinemAddicts. This is CinemAddicts episode 327. We're covering movies that are coming out for the week of Friday, January 16th, 2026. Eric and I will also rifle through some of our CinemAddicts movie awards picks. Bruce Berkey did such a great job a couple of days ago with our recent Hodgepod installment. He did about 40 minutes worth of in-depth CinemAddicts movie award stuff. But Eric and I, we're just going to very quickly rifle through our winners because we have a bunch of movies to cover ourselves for this episode. Movies coming out this week include Sheepdog, Dead Man's Wire, Shuffle, All You Need Is Kill, and The Confession. Sheepdog is a very interesting movie, but for Bruce Berkey, for Up in the Attic, he has three of these movies covered. He has Shuffle covered, he has All You Need Is Kill, and he has Dead Man's Wire. And then Eric and I have just a mishmash stuff to cover as well. How are we doing, Eric?
Not bad. I just dropped my friend off at the airport and
cool.
Made it back here. So
good.
Let's do some potting.
We're doing some potting right now.
We're gonna go potty.
We're gonna do a potty right now. So for this month, we're covering the year 2014, and we have three movies to pick. One of the movies is going to be an assigned pick for the end of the month for our regular CinemAddicts feed, and then the other two films will be for our actual Patreon bonus. And this is the year of 2014. Eric, you have the dice. So roll 3 times and see what we get.
All right. So we got 11, which is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, chosen by CinemAddicts member and Patreon member, Ken Cunningham. Thank you, Ken, for that. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is going to be our first pick. It's our second pick. Eric?
We got 11 again.
I'm going to start it.
7, we got Noah.
Okay, Noah, and that is a movie from our buddy Pete Abeyta, and I believe he's a Patreon member as well, but most importantly, he is the chairman of the board over at Middle Class Film Class, and he's just a great friend, and we had a great time, Eric and Pete, about a year ago.
Is that the Darren Aronofsky?
That's a Darren Aronofsky film that I actually did see back in the day at the studio, which was... I'm looking at all these movies. This is 2014. Might have been one of the last years when I actually left the house on a regular basis. I saw this at the studio and watched Noah, and I remember enjoying it. It would be interesting to see what it looks like now, 10 plus years later. Does Noah still stand up? So for our main
biblical rock monsters are always fun to watch.
Oh yeah, that's very funny. I remember that. That is intense. I wonder if that rock monster holds up again 11 years later. So for our Patreon episode, we're going to have A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night and Noah. Thank you, Ken Cunningham again, and Pete Abeyta. What is the final pick for our regular episode, Eric?
Final pick is number 4, The Guest.
The Guest, again, that is Pete Abeyta. Thank you, Pete, for that. The Guest. I know what The Guest is about, and I still haven't seen The Guest. I know. Have you seen The Guest? Do you remember The Guest? Dan Stevens, Eric Holmes?
Of the 3, that is the one I have not seen.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So The Guest will be for our regular feed, which in a couple of weeks we will cover The Guest. And then again, finally, we will have A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, a film I haven't seen. Eric said he's seen it. And then Noah for our 2014 Patreon bonus of this month being January 2026. Last shopkeeping thing regarding Patreon is, since it's 2026, whether it gets us more people in our CinemAddicts folder or not, I don't know. But I've been telling Eric, or I've been talking to Bruce and Eric over the years, hey, I want to actually put our spoilers on a website, or I want to archive our spoilers, blah, blah, blah. And I've spread some of our spoilers discussions in various YouTube channels in Deepest Stream and CinemAddicts. But I've decided within the last week, hey, our CinemAddicts Patreon subs, our patrons have been so good to us over the years. Let's just wall all of our movie spoilers into that ecosystem. And you're thinking, Greg, what makes the spoilers so interesting? Because you can have any movie critics or movie podcasters talk about spoilers, and I see that all the time on YouTube. That's correct. All right. Those spoilers are usually normal and we're like every other podcaster doing that, I'm not talking about those kind of spoilers. Maybe those spoilers will be also in our Patreon whenever Bruce and Eric want to do spoilers, but these spoilers are from the horses or the horse's mouth, from the actual directors, writers, filmmakers, and actors and actresses that I interview along the way. I will have their sound bites, their video clips talking about the end of the movie. Maybe it's several minutes long. Usually I would have put them on our YouTube channel, but nope. I'm going to put them only for our Patreon subscribers. So how does that benefit our patrons? Well, one of the movies that's coming out on Friday, January 16th is The Confession. It's a horror film. Starring Italia Ricci and directed by Will Cannon. I have Will Cannon and Italia Ricci talking about the end of The Confession. So if you're a patron, I've already uploaded the spoiler stuff for you guys. And what you can do is, if you're so inclined after my review in the coming moments of The Confession, if you want to rent it or purchase it, do so. And actually, after that, watch their discussion about the ending, the very uncompromising ending of The Confession. What do you think of that, Eric? Is that pretty good?
Yes.
I mean, I know you're part of the CinemAddicts crew. How exclusive is that? That actually puts us right there in front of the race, right? Because I'm the one with the access. You have access too, but I'm the one who's asking all the spoiler stuff, right?
Yeah. It makes sense.
Right. It makes a lot of sense. And then also, finally, for our Patreon members, if you are interested in filmmaking, writing, directing, there are some very valuable insights that these people I interview dole out, because I ask all of these, I don't know if they're insightful questions, but hopefully these are value-added questions, which I've usually just put them on YouTube as well to the mass public. Not anymore. That's only going to be for Patreon. So for example, at the beginning of the interview, I asked Will Cannon, The Confession director, and he's also the writer, what's the key for him to actually finish a script? That's one of the main evergreen questions that I will be asking a lot of the talent. And he actually answers my question about the key to finishing a script. If you are interested in these little nuggets from these actual artists, they're not going to be on our podcast. They're not going to be on our YouTube channel. They will be solely for our Patreon community. Again, all of these levels. Yes, Eric.
I was not expecting him to say that he hired a guy to hold a shotgun to his head, and if he doesn't finish it, then...
That's actually another insight from another. That'd be interesting if a filmmaker ever did that. That'd be very, very cool. But Will Cannon does not say that. He says something very interesting as well. So if you like spoilers, and if you like these nuggets of insights from these artists that will be walled within an ecosystem, within an archive, please join us over at CinemAddicts. It's a $5 catch-all fee. If you have any questions, hit me up regarding our Patreon. All right. So what do you think, Eric? 2 cents on Patreon. I'm trying to add these things. If you think that's value added, walling it in, or what say you?
I believe in it. The patrons or the patrons,
patrons
help us out, and we should help them out as well.
We should help them out. And if you're not part of our $5 a month Patreon, you can also join our Patreon community. There are some free posts I will make available to you guys on the actual feed. So it's interesting. You can just join us on Patreon for free as well. You won't get the exclusive content, but you'll get some other stuff that I'll be posting on Patreon. This is a way for us to grow our CinemAddicts community. Another way to grow our community is to actually start reviewing some of these movies. Now, let us get to specifically Dead Man's Wire. Eric, is Gus Van Sant, is he a director that you really love over the years? Are you passionate about, or?
I believe I've liked all the movies I've seen of his.
Buckshot Cowboy?
I haven't seen that one. So the Nirvana one, that's not about Kurt Cobain, but it is.
Last Days.
Yeah, Last Days. It was like he did that. Was it Jerry and Elephant were like slow, but Elephant was tough to watch, not because the movie was boring, but because it was slow, but like you knew it was coming. So it was tough to watch, but in a good way, I guess. Obviously, Good Will Hunting and Milk. Really like Milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sean Penn, right? Drugstore Cowboy, do you remember who starred in it? Who are some of the actors? Or are you blanking?
No. Oh, wait, wasn't it?
Matt Dillon and Kelly.
Which one am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking My Own Private Idaho.
You're right.
I was thinking of
Joaquin Phoenix and Keanu Reeves.
River Phoenix and
River
Keanu.
Phoenix. Oh yeah, River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves in My Own Private Idaho, which I still haven't seen. But for Drugstore Cowboy, that stars Matt Dillon and Kelly Lynch. Do you know Kelly Lynch?
No.
Well, you did see her in this movie because in this movie, Kelly Lynch, who starred in Drugstore Cowboy years ago for director Gus Van Sant, she plays the wife of the Al Pacino character in Dead Man's Wire.
Okay.
She doesn't have too much lines, but she is. It's a nice little callback to Gus Van Sant's early career, and great that Kelly Lynch got a role. But here, quote, based on a true story, the 1977 kidnapping of a prominent banker grips the nation and turns the abductor into an outlaw folk hero. That is a little bit inaccurate, what I'm reading right now, because a prominent banker is not really a prominent banker. He's the son of someone who's prominent, but horses for courses and courses for whatever. But he's basically the person who's kidnapped is the privileged son of the very powerful person. The very powerful person is Al Pacino. The privileged son, who is a banker, is played by Dacre Montgomery. You might know him from Stranger Things. The person who is the kidnapper is Tony Kuritzis, played by Bill Skarsgård in a very colorful role. If you know Skarsgård, he's been in The Crow and he was in It. He plays a lot of these Nosferatu, all these Barbarian, all these left.
Oh yeah, he was Nosferatu.
Yeah, he was Nosferatu, right? A very good actor. None of the big makeup in this movie, but it's still a larger than life role because Tony Kuritzis is a very interesting person. He believes that these bankers, they screwed him on a certain mortgage and investment property, and he's a hardworking, common folk dude who's trying to get some justice, and by seeking that justice, he kidnaps that big banker's son, again played by Dr. Montgomery. Movie directed by Gus Van Sant, also stars Carrie Elways as one of the detectives who is following Tony Kuritzis, the whole kidnapping journey of Tony Kuritzis and the person he kidnaps. Eric, your thoughts on Dead Man's Wire?
Well, first of all, yeah, I forgot that Bill Skarsgård played not Count Orlok, but he's got a mustache in this one too. Not quite as good, but still decent. Dead Man's Wire, I like the setup to this, like the first act a lot, because it was him. Hey, I got a meeting set up with this guy, the Al Pacino character. Al Pacino's out of town, so his son takes over the meeting, and he's got a big box with a shotgun in it and a wire hooked up to it, the Dead Man's Wire. So not exactly sure. Like it's hooked up to where if he moves too much, he'll end up pulling the trigger on the shotgun, and the shotgun's like right there, so it'll kill him. And it set that up pretty good. And then as the movie went on, it set up Tony Kuritzis as like a folk hero, which I don't quite agree with morally, because apparently got screwed over, which that's not good, but I don't think it was bad enough to warrant kidnap and threaten of murder. So he's not standing on firm moral ground, I don't think. And it looked like they were trying to paint him out as a folk hero. But then they started delving into sort of his, I guess, obsession.
All right. So what you were saying about Dead Man's Wire, Eric?
So he went from folk hero. They were painting him out to be a folk hero. And then they started delving into sort of mental illness, maybe, or his mental state. And that comes into play later. And so the thing I was worried about ended up pivoting into something else. And then I was like, okay, now I see what you're doing. And it didn't bug me as much as it did previously.
Okay. All right. Well, the movie also...
We'll leave it there. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. The movie also stars Coleman Domingo. Coleman Domingo plays the resident DJ of Indianapolis. And he's a DJ who Tony Kuritzis really loves, and his music and his stylings, Coleman Domingo's character stylings as a DJ, it's a big part of the music and the fabric of Dead Man's Wire.
I wonder if that was an actual thing or if that was a character created for the movie.
Right. I'm assuming it's a character created for the movie. I could be completely wrong because the movie is based on a true story, right? But there has to be some kind of fabrication within.
Yeah. Because he seemed like that character. Oh, what was it? Was it Two-Lane Blacktop? Where they're like driving, but they always cut to like the radio guy, like sitting there smoking. Red, roses are red, violets are blue. What you going to do when the man comes for you? That sort of thing.
Interstitial, right.
Yeah, and then here's some ambrosia, and then they cut away. He seemed like that kind of character, and then but he actually comes into play with Bill Skarsgård's character.
Right.
So that was cool. But that was like one of those things like, that really happened? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the story. I'm familiar with the outcome, but not the story itself. But yeah, my biggest issue was I thought that the movie was starting to become a little irresponsible in the portrayal of the Bill Skarsgård's character. Then they pivoted and it turned out to be something else, and that worked out pretty good.
Okay.
I would say the best part of this movie is definitely the first act when everything's being set up. He's tying them to the shotgun, and then it's the point where it's like, okay, why is he doing this? What's the end game? There's so many questions in there, but then as they get answers, okay, I guess it's a thing.
Okay, so Dead Man's Wire, it also, what's interesting is people, if they're watching it, and Eric was talking about the main character, Tony Kuritzis, trying to curry sympathy from the audience, from the people, and he becomes possibly a folk hero. There is a little bit of a Dog Day Afternoon vibe to Dead Man's Wire, obviously different type of circumstances. What's interesting is that Sidney Lumet classic, Dog Day Afternoon, the lead actor in that is, of course, Al Pacino. And Al Pacino has a big role in Dead Man's Wire. And he has a prominent role eventually. Of course. Yeah. So Al Pacino is a big part as the guy that Tony Kuritzis is after, because he's this rich guy who supposedly screwed him over. And they have a very interesting showdown via phone in Dead Man's Wire. In theaters, select theaters January 9th, wide January 16th. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Really good performances. Loved Bill Skarsgård in this movie. I thought the middle part of the movie felt like a little bit of a slog, but it's not really, because during the kidnapping, you're supposed to be a little bit tired. It shows the ins and outs of this kidnapping, which lasts for several days, and you get a feeling of fatigue throughout Dead Man's Wire at times. But I still really enjoyed the movies, particularly because of Bill Skarsgård's just really showy performance, and I had a good time with it. I think I initially had it at 3.5 stars, but I'm going to give it 4 stars. As the days go by, I really enjoyed Dead Man's Wire. Eric, your final thoughts and rating?
I think I was starting off at 4.5, and then I'm kind of with you on the middle part. The middle part dragged a bit, and then the ending picked up a little bit, but not quite enough. I'm going to go 3.5 on this. But that said, I'd still watch it again. Okay.
So that is
courtroom stuff.
Courtroom stuff is very interesting.
I wish they would have leaned more into that, because it was a big court case, we'll say, for reasons that you can find out.
Okay.
But yeah.
Next up is The Confession. It's a horror film. It comes out on digital and on demand January 16th. Again, this is a big, in my opinion, a really big movie this week, because I got to ask about the ending of The Confession. Again, if you want to see the ending, insights on screenwriting, go to our CinemAddicts Patreon for all of that information. Here's the plot summary. A woman finds her late father's tape confessing to murder tied to an A woman finds her late father's tape confessing to murder tied to an evil force. Now her son shows the same darkness, and she must fight to stop it. That person is Naomi, played by Taya Ritchie. Naomi, she's a musician from LA, and she moves from LA to her late father's house out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of the country. It's really pretty. Not in LA, of course, so it's a different style of life. She's with her young son. Unfortunately, her father committed suicide years ago, and you see it at the beginning of the film. He has all of these Bibles are tied around him, and he goes out in the middle of out to the lake, and he drowns himself. And the reason why he drowns himself is supposedly he might be the last remaining symbol. He might be carrying some sort of evil force inside him, and maybe he committed suicide as a way to stop the evil then and there. That said,
real quick, did he tie the Bibles around him to weigh him down, or
to weigh him down into the lake to drown? There's a lot of Bibles. There's a lot of Bibles in this. A lot of
but it absorbs water. You think it?
He ties a lot of stuff to himself, and then he goes. If I recall, there were Bibles, there were books, and he goes out and he drowns himself in the beginning. It's a very interesting opening. The rest of the movie is you're wondering if this evil force, how will it affect her son? How will it affect her? Is the house haunted? Is there something buried out in the open, out in the front yard, possibly? And then there's Naomi gets the help of an old high school friend played by Scott Meklowitz. And you might know him from years ago from Mean Creek, in that very interesting movie, Mean Creek. Now, so Naomi and her friend, they try to get to the bottom of this mystery of this evil force. And then what unfolds for this 87 minutes, most of it is very slow burning. And then you're trying to put the pieces together. And then by the close to the third act or the latter part of the second act, a lot of things start getting explained regarding the past of the land itself and the environment. And it's pretty scary and pretty spooky. There is some underwater sequences going down, and there is a showdown within the water. There's a possible baptism sequence regarding faith, having faith, who knows? And then there's this urban myth called the Piper, which might play into the equation of the confession. The most important thing is you want to figure out if the woman and her son are going to be safe from this evil force, or will this evil force continue to spread across the environment? Directed and written by Will Cannon, running in 87 minutes. At first, I gave this movie 3.5 stars because it was a slow burn, but then the third act blew me away. And then as the days go on, this is a film that I'm going to go back to and rewatch and probably really enjoy a lot more the second time because all of those pieces come together. I'm giving The Confession 4 stars. I have not seen an ending like this in a while. And I said this on Patreon, but it shocked me. It shocked me as much as that Nicholas Roeg film Don't Look Now, when you realize what happens to Donald Sutherland's character at the end of Don't Look Now. You get in, it's a very interesting ending that I think was a gutsy move by filmmaker Will Cannon. So that is The Confession. And Talia Ritchie is really good as the lead, who's trying to figure out what's going on in the house and the evil force. And she's doing whatever she can to save herself and her son.
So this sounds like it's the opposite of Dead Man's Wire, where Dead Man's Wire starts off strong and fizzles as it goes. This one, not that great, but as it goes on, just gets better as it goes.
Yes, it's a great movie. 87 minutes. I highly recommend this. Just stay for the slow burn. Even if you don't like the movie in general, I think the ending will really be good for you. At least I did. I'm really excited to actually see, again, this year, not just Patreon, I'm going to start actually finally getting back onto Letterboxd, and I'm going to give this one 4 stars on Letterboxd and try to promote this movie. I really enjoyed this film. On digital and on demand, January 16th, 4-star stream for me from The Confession. Too bad, Eric, that you didn't get to see it. I would have loved to have seen us to talk about the ending of The Confession. All right, next up is, let's see, All You Need Is Kill. Bruce has all of the plot summaries and everything. This is an animated film. It's based on the novel by Hiroshi Sakurazaka. And All You Need Is Kill, because if you've seen that movie, Tom Cruise, however you call it, is it Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat? They're the same movie about a person who tries to do this mission, but he keeps dying over and over again. All You Need Is Kill is from the same source material. Eric, your thoughts on this animated film, which is in theaters North America, January 16th.
Yeah, All You Need Is Kill. Yeah, it's Edge of Tomorrow, but it's, how do you put it? It's obviously the Groundhog Day sort of thing. The main character is Rita. That's the character that Emily Blunt plays in Edge of Tomorrow. And so this is from her perspective. So I haven't read the book, All You Need Is Kill. I probably should, because I like Edge of Tomorrow and I like this, so I should probably read the book. But it's my understanding that this doesn't follow the book. This is an alternate point of view from the book and the movie itself. So you're following Rita, played by Ai Mikami. Mm-hmm. And then later on, she does the days over and over again, all that stuff, dies, and then meets up with Kiji. That would be Tom Cruise's character in the movie. His character in this is way different than Tom Cruise's character in Edge of Tomorrow. Maybe it's a lot closer to the character in the book, maybe. But the animation in this is fantastic. It's got the character designs kind of a little dirty, I suppose, similar to the old Aeon Flux shorts from Liquid Television. But it looks cool. Monsters are cool. Does some cool effects similar that you might have seen in Spider-Verse movies. I think where this movie doesn't quite land with me is a lot of the stuff. So at some point they figure out why they're in a time loop. And then they also figure out like how much more time they have in the time loop. Because if you can die forever and then just keep repeating, there's no stakes.
Right.
It probably hurts to die, and probably gets annoying. But you basically got all the time in the world. At some point they say, no, you got one last time to do it. And the explanation of that seemed kind of stupid, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
It probably would have been better if they just didn't address it at all and then just say, oh, we got one more shot at this. Why? Doesn't matter. Moving on. Cool. I'm with you. But once they started explaining, I'm like, all that being said, the action is good. Where it ends up, I don't remember the ending to Edge of Tomorrow, but the ending to this one, I liked it. We'll just leave it there. I liked it. I liked the ending to this one a lot.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, it was just, I thought this was going to be like just like a gender swap version of Edge of Tomorrow. But yeah, took me a bit to realize that Rita, and I was like, wait, who's Rita? And then IMDb'd it. Oh, that's Emily Blunt's character. Okay. We're looking at it from her point of view. It also deals with, so there's a part in this, and my brother might have something to do with this, but there's a part in this where she's on like day 5 or 7 or something like that. And she's just over it like pretty quickly. And then she's just looking at the water and she's, maybe if I just kill myself, this will be done. And then so she basically drowns herself and then dies and then wakes up and has to do it all over again.
Wow. That
kind of haunts her throughout the movie. And the way they deal with that was really well done. So not only is there actually great animation, but there's like a lot of cool, I don't want to say dramatic moments, but it's like internal self-reflective moments with the characters. Yeah. This kind of nailed it with this. I mean, other than the over explanation of some things, which was annoying, the overall movie, pretty good. And it was short. It was like an hour, 25 minutes, something like that. So even better. I mean, you're going to do that for an animated movie because you're not about to make a 3-hour animated movie with a bunch of arbitrary scenes because you got to draw them and no one wants to draw stuff that's not going to move the story forward. But yeah, this was really good. I would say if you like Edge of Tomorrow, watch this because it's not the same story, but animated. They were smart in taking a different perspective. I assume they assumed that people had seen Edge of Tomorrow or read the book it's based on, and then decided to take a different approach to the same story.
Okay, so that is All You Need Is Kill. It's in North American theaters January 16th. Eric, what is your rating?
Oh, 4.5. I thought I said that already, but I did not.
4.5 stars. Oh, who knows? Maybe you did say that.
No, I don't think I did.
Okay.
Maybe if I die later on today, wake up and we'll do this again. We'll see what I actually said. But
very, very good. So that's 4.5 stars from Eric Holmes for All You Need Is Kill. Bruce Perky also has a review of it a few moments when he's from Cinematic over Up in the Attic. Finally, I have a review of Sheepdog. It's a movie that hits theaters Friday, January 16th. It is a military drama, a coming-of-age drama, just very first-rate drama filled with great performances. Quote, here's a plot summary. Decorated U.S. Army combat vet Calvin Cole, played by Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham is also the director and writer of the movie. He's court-ordered into treatment and into the case of a VA trauma therapist, played by Virginia Madsen. Virginia Madsen from Sideways, a whole bunch of movies, The Magical Belle Isle, great actress. And she's great in this movie. So Calvin Cole, he is in this survey. He's trying to see this therapist to get better. It's about their relationship. And it's also about his relationship with his father-in-law, who's a retired Vietnam veteran. And that person is played by Vonnie Curtis Hall. And his father-in-law, he shows up on his doorstep after being released from prison. And it's interesting because Calvin, I would like to say father-in-law, but ex-father-in-law. He's divorced from his wife, and you get to realize why he's divorced from his wife, possibly because of his mental, emotional, and physical and mental trauma over the years, PTSD. How has that affected him? There's a lot of tragedy in Calvin Cole's life, and you get to see it elaborated and explained in Sheepdog. Quote, as Calvin's plan to run from his past becomes even more challenging, he learns through the support of his community, tough love and compassion, that he must put himself back together again for his family and for himself. Now, that's the official plot summary. What I'm saying to you right now is all of this trauma that he's going through and the meeting of his father, ex-father-in-law, or still father-in-law, and then trying to bond with this therapist. He also has a best friend played by Matt Dallas, who is also a fellow military vet. There's a lot of stuff in this drama, and you're thinking, this is so heavy-handed. I don't want to see this. I will say this. The performances are excellent all around, especially by Stephen Graham and Virginia Madsen. They are and actually Bonnie Curtis Hall, Matt Dallas, every single principal in this movie delivers such a locked-in performance. And parts of the movie is like watching a car wreck because you just see these emotions really laid bare and it feels real. Sometimes when you see these type of movies, it feels saccharine and it caters to the public, to the audience. But this feels like a movie that was made by a guy who knows what he's doing. It took, I think, at least 14 to 15 years of research that Stephen Graham just collected over the years and let it soak through his being. And you see all of that inspiration in Sheepdog. This is a first-rate movie, heavy subject matter, but it is at times cathartic, a lot of times very painful to watch, but it is a very effectively done, inspired movie that doesn't pull its punches. So Sheepdog in theaters January 16th. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars because, and Virginia Madsen, she's one of my favorite actors when it comes to delivering monologues. She has a monologue that if you are not chopping onions, I don't know who you are. She has one of those. I'm sure a lot of you remember, if you've seen Sideways, you remember Virginia Madsen's really wonderful monologue in Sideways. She has a monologue here that rivals that. And there are just a lot of really intense moments of Sheepdog. Eric Holmes always likes to say, well, I really love this movie, but I don't know if I'm going to watch it again. A part of me feels that way about Sheepdog because it's so tough to watch what's going on, but that should not deter you from giving this movie a shot. It is absolutely really well done. And that's part of what we do in CinemAddicts. We're going to talk about our CinemAddicts Movie Awards in a few moments. We want to spotlight movies that maybe you might not be seeing on a given weekend because of all the big flashy light movies that are coming out of your local theater or on Netflix or the big streamers that you have on your iPad or your Amazon Fire Stick. I understand that there's so many movies every week, but we try to cover movies that are a little bit under the radar. Sheepdog is under the radar. We should have a groundswell of support, but I really encourage you guys, if you want some alternate viewing this weekend and want to see some really great performances and a really well done story, check out Sheepdog. 4.5 stars for me again. All right, that's it for our featured films for this week. Eric, before we get to our CinemAddicts Movie Awards, you can't really review the movies that are coming out for Dances with Films because they are embargoed, but you did cover this short film, Where's My Package? You also saw these movies, Zoe and Glendora. Glendora is a documentary. Zoe is a full-length feature. It's a travelogue comedy or drama or something. That all of these interviews with these filmmakers are up on our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. But the most important thing is Glendora, Zoe, even there's another movie called Infirmary, which we haven't gotten to. These are all Dances with Films projects, including Where's My Package? What can you tell us about Glendora, Zoe, and Where's My Package? What can people expect without the review, I guess? If they're in New York, should they watch these projects? What stood out for you, I guess, without reviewing it? It's a tricky thing to say.
They're all maybe good, maybe bad. Who knows? Can't review it. Glendora is a documentary about the people that live in Glendora. So you're
in
just
Mississippi.
You're just hanging out with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Rural
I mentioned
Mississippi.
this, I forget the name of it again. The people in the mobile homes.
Happy Campers.
Happy Campers. Similar to that, you're just hanging out with these people, and maybe it's good, maybe it's not. We don't know. Well, we'll have to watch it and find out.
There's another Zoe, right? Filmmaking couple.
Yeah, Zoe. She makes a wish, and then she wants to find true love, and she keeps waking up in different bodies and living different lives with different people, and is trying to find herself, see what she wants in a relationship. It's a comedy, but I guess romantic comedy. Maybe it's good. Maybe it sucks. who knows? You'll have
Who
to watch
knows?
it.
Again, this is Glendora and Zoe. These are Friday, January 16th. So by the time hopefully you're listening to this episode on a Friday, if you're around New York during the day, check it out, or at night. I will leave links to when you can see these movies. Also, we have Eric's interviews with the filmmakers behind Glendora and Zoe up on our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. Finally, on Saturday, January 17th, there's a animated short with Jesse Cow.
It's not animated. Well, I mean, in a way, it's animated.
Not an animated, a short film called "Where's My Package" with Jesse Cowell, Jess Kidd, right? You just interviewed him for the second time. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, "Where's My Package" is a short guy a guy orders something and is waiting for it to be delivered. It's not being delivered. He wants to find out, and he goes to the place where the packages are to go find it. You mistakenly said it was animated. I guess in a way it is because of how frantic it is.
Good.
Maybe the short's great. Who knows? Who's to say? You'll have to watch it and find out.
We will say this: Dances with Films is great because Eric, for the last several years, has been covering a lot of the filmmakers and actors behind Dances with Films. It's a festival that he supports because they Danced with Films in New York and also in LA. They support indie film, which is what we do. So, right? I mean,
yeah, I would say check them out and let me know what you think, because I can't let you know now. I have no opinions at this.
All right.
I do. I just can't share them. And then
finally, before we get to CinemAddicts Movie Awards, I forgot. You did a rewatch of Relentless, and just for a recap, ultimately it's a two-hander. There's a guy who's a businessman. He gets his home invaded by a homeless man, and you're wondering, the homeless man, does he have a reason why to actually attack this home of the man? And the rest of the movie deals with their back and forth cat and mouse game. There's going to be, if it's a two-hander and they both are attacking each other, it's a lot of intense violence and action. I really loved it. Eric, was I overselling Relentless?
Maybe a little bit.
Sorry.
We'll start off with the good stuff. It's not dialogue free. There's definitely some stuff, especially with some exposition going on
right in the middle.
But for the most part, a lot of it is no one saying anything. It's just the action going on, which is really cool that they did it that way. So some of the stuff that bugged me is there's some issues with geography or characters making decisions that feel like there was overcompensating for. You know how sometimes in movies characters do dumb things?
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that coin, characters do stuff that's like, how did you know to do that?
Right.
The only reason you knew to do that is because the writer knew to do that. I don't believe the character knew to do that. So there's stuff like that happened that kind of bugged me a little bit. The mystery of why the thing's happening was it June was being attacked by Teddy, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you figure Teddy's attacking June, and I got the sense that there's a reason for it, but then June seems confused. And then so now I'm like, wait, what's going on? There's even a part where it's, you know me. It's like, no, I don't. It's, oh, you do. And then I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? When the reveal came, I was like, and then June's excuse or response to the thing that happened. Really? We're doing that? It kind of brought it down to more than a few notches.
Too bad.
And then there's like there's some like that the action was like shot well, but there's issues with the geography where like there's a character gets hold of a shotgun, can't seem to hit the guy, and then picks up a screwdriver and then walks up to him. Why didn't you do that with the shotgun? It's just stuff like that just kept getting in my craw. But I will say you were correct about one thing for sure. It's definitely entertaining. And I really appreciated the lack of dialogue, because in an action movie, like when you can do that, just have action and not rely on dialogue. That can be impressive and fun to watch. Didn't quite land with me, but I didn't hate it. So
okay, like a 3-star.
Yeah, we'll go 3 stars on this. It's like writing, not 3-star banger, but we're writing that line. Had the action not been as good as it was, or the lack of dialogue going that route, probably would have veered more into it like a 2-star. But
okay,
yeah,
cool. Thought it was relentless. His review at 3-star for Eric Holmes. I really love this movie. So I've got to dig. It's only a week. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. I just fell in love with this movie, Relentless. But I've looked at some other ratings. Some people really love it. A lot of people really don't love it. So it's getting just the gamut of different reviews. Glad you saw it, Eric. I didn't get to see Obex. I just been so crazy busy. That's a movie you loved from last week, Eric. Now let's go to our very quickly. We're going to rifle through this because Bruce did a lot of the heavy lifting for us for the CinemAddicts Movie Awards, and it works out because Bruce is very insightful, and we all have our talents, and Bruce is gets knee deep in the CinemAddicts Movie Awards. If you listen to our previous episode on the Hodgepod, and you can listen to Bruce's in-depth winners for the CinemAddicts Movie Awards. Now let's go to me and Eric. We're going to rifle through these pretty quick. Eric, Virginia Newcomb, underappreciated actors or performances of the year. What are your picks for the underappreciated actors or performances of the year? Just a couple.
So yes,
actor and actress.
I got Rocky Shea from Junkie. She's the main character. I just really loved her. She sold it as a real junkie. There's some depression stuff, but there's also some light moments and funny moments. And she just nailed it. I guess given her history, not knowing this when watching the movie, but after interviewing her, she lived this. So obviously it came through, and she was a great pick for that. And I'd love to see her in more stuff. Male actor, Marco Zaror in Diablo, one of my favorite villains just recently. Obviously, I love him as an action star, but his take as the villain in this just set it above the top. He was always great, but in this, he's really good in this.
Dude, Josh Hartnett, Fight or Flight. That was a big movie that came out about a year ago. Marco Zaror has a big opening action sequence in that movie. Just FYI, it's a Lionsgate. So I want to tell you, he's a different type of character, but Marco Zaror Diablo, definitely need to check that out. I think my mom saw Diablo. She loved it.
Well, so the main thing about him in Diablo is not just his action and his fighting and all that. He's intimidating as hell. Like his character is not a character you want to run across because he'll mess you up. And if he doesn't mess you up, he knows what you look like. He'll stalk you and find you and make your life not great.
Great job, Eric, on that, on Diablo. So my picks are actor and actress. They're in the same movie. It's a movie called A Little Prayer. David Strathairn and Jane Levy? Jane Levy? I think it's Jane Levy. Right. They play father. He's a dad. He's a patriarch of the family, and she's a daughter-in-law of A Little Prayer. I'm going to talk about A Little Prayer down the line when we get to our top 5 of the year, but very, very interesting stuff. So those are my top 2 underappreciated actors. That's Jane Levy and David Strathairn for their work in A Little Prayer. Now, best comedy. What was your best comedy, Eric?
Okay, this one was tough because there was a couple of them that could have made it, but the one I ended up going with is Killing Mary Sue. It was just a silly kind of action comedy, and I remember when the movie first started, it seemed like a little too clever. Like I was like, this is going to annoy me, but as it went on, just fell in love with the main character, all the over-the-top characters throughout, and yeah, Killing Mary Sue, really, really good. This movie may come up later on. Oh, very, very good. Now, best drama. Oh, wait, I forgot. Best comedy for me was The Ballad of Wallace Island. That's a little bit more commercial, but still has some of an indie flourish to it. I love the drama behind The Ballad of Wallace Island, and it's at root very, very funny as well. This is a movie that I think over the months it's received its share. I don't know where it's streaming right now, but it's possibly on Peacock. It's getting a lot of heat now because months later, it just picked up steam, and I really love this comedy. Just really good performances all around. Best drama, Eric. What's your choice? What's your pick? Okay? Best drama is Soleiman's Story. Not really a sequel to what was the movie? It's not a sequel to it, but it is. Right. Io Capitano. Yeah, Io Capitano. Spiritual sequel to that. It was just good following Soleiman, and then heartbreaking watching him. He's just trying to do things, and like his past is the reason he's at where he's at is because of his past, and he left a horrible place, and then now he's got to come up with this BS story about why he's there, because that's the only way he's guaranteed to get this thing. And yeah, it's heartbreaking to watch someone have to lie about their past because they don't think it's bad enough, and then you come to find out it's pretty bad. That what you're saying should work. The end doesn't cops out a little bit, but I mean, that's not a big deal because Fully Made Story is very good. And I'll leave you rooting till the end.
Okay, cool. My choice for best drama is A Little Prayer. Again, it's a family drama. Nothing much more to say about this. This is just a very interesting drama. Made me tear up a little bit, and the writing is impeccable on this. If you see family dramas, there's so many. It runs a gamut of very saccharine stuff, very honey dripping type of movies, but A Little Prayer feels very real. I mentioned earlier about Sheepdog, how it felt very real. A Little Prayer is one of those real movies as well. CinemAddicts community, just our really good friend Angie Clark, she saw A Little Prayer as well, and she loved it so much. So I'm glad it's someone else I know has seen A Little Prayer. Now, best documentary, Eric, what is your choice?
This one there was a lot of them we saw, but the one I liked the most was about John Candy. I Like Me. Yeah, watching a bunch of sad bastard movies. Sometimes it's sad that John Candy's no longer with us, but this was a puff piece, but a puff piece that's earned, because much like the Gene Wilder one,
yeah,
he was a good guy. Why Bill Murray said it right off the top. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna want some dirt. Well, you're out of luck."
Cool.
It was just nice watching a documentary about a guy I was a fan of, and turns out he's a great guy, and just made me feel good watching it.
Cool. My choice is Secret Mall Apartment for best documentary. It's literally what it's about. It's about a secret mall apartment and these people who lived in the mall in an apartment for a little bit of a spell. And it's just a really well done documentary. All right. Next up is Best Use of Puppets. That's a Bruce Perky Award, and also known as Best Use of
3, 2, 1.
Death Stalker. Nothing more to say. Great physical effects. It's directed by Steven Kostanski, right? And like Bruce will have his thoughts on it in a few moments. Eric, what are your thoughts on Death Stalker?
I mean, what other movie would he give it to?
Just
like the puppets are like really charming and gross, and the character designs are like it. You can tell they're puppets. You can tell people are in suits and stuff, but the character designs are really great on them. It's kind of like think of a Muppet. It's fake, but it looks good, and that's what Death Stalker does. Right.
Best action-driven banger. That's an Eric Holmes Award. What is your action movie of the year, Eric?
Diablo.
That's
hands down Diablo. Scott Adkins, Mark Wahlberg turning in an amazing villain performance. And
what else can you say, right? Okay.
Yeah, you can't say anything else. It's impossible.
Is it a rewatch? Have you rewatched it more than once then? Maybe this movie that you got to rewatch.
I've seen it a couple times.
I've seen it a couple of times. All right. Very good. For me, it was Night Call. I looked back on the Google Doc that I gave it 4 stars, but it's just a really good action movie. Has its share of tense moments in Night Call. And yeah, look it up. Night Call, one word. And it's just about this courier in the middle, just late at night, and he gets into a really huge dilemma, and very interesting stuff happens throughout the course of an evening. Best horror film for you, Eric?
I had Final Destination Bloodlines on this for a while.
Okay. All right.
Took it off the last minute.
Okay.
A Breed Apart.
Oh, Breed Apart. Yeah.
This could have been a best comedy too.
Yes.
And in some scenes, probably in best puppets. But A Breed Apart is just one of those. Look, the movie's stupid, okay? But it's stupid in the sense that it knows it's stupid. It leans into the stupid. And as a result, I loved watching it.
Yeah. Not going to argue with that. For me, my pick for best horror was Parvolos, Children of the Apocalypse. Is it a horror? A little bit of a horror. It's post-apocalyptic. It's black and white. It's confusing, and it's nasty to look at sometimes. And
that's a good pick. I completely forgot about that one.
Right. That's a movie that when you watch it. I forgot
that came out.
You're right. You're wondering what the heck is going on in this world. It's a world building thing, and it's I'm
changing it. Breed Apart and Parvolos, Children of the Apocalypse. I completely forgot that came out in 2025. That's a great pick.
It's a movie that sticks with you no matter what. And hold on.
The release date may not stick with you, but the movie itself will.
Okay, I will spoil this. Bruce mentions this for his movie awards. That he mentioned. Actually, I'm not spoiling it because his version of the movie awards came out earlier this week. He mentions in Parvolos, Children of the Apocalypse, and other movies, they may have different dates, but don't look at the IMDb date. We're going by when it was released in the U.S. Okay, so for
Yeah,
example,
we're just because they played it in their backyard for the friends, we're not counting that as the release date.
right, because then it'd be all over the place. These are movies that were released this year.
But if you're doing your 2025 list, and you want to go with that, it's your list. You do what you want.
Do what you want. But this is our special cinematics list. Some of these favorites, we also have some of the big award movies, like One Battle After Another, possibly Hamnet. These are the big movies that we're just leaving off our list. We're giving you guys an alternate list, an alternate universe list of movies that need to be spotlighted, including Parvolo's Children of the Apocalypse. It's a movie that I think, Eric, it just sticks with you, right?
I'm actually a bit annoyed that I forget, because that really that needs to be in my top movies. But all right,
okay, well, if you can change it. You can always change it. Don't worry. So let's go to our next pick. Esoteric film that only Greg would love. This is something because over the years I ended up, the more indie porn it gets, the more someone
Family
like me
show.
likes it. Yeah, I know, it's family show. I end up liking these movies, right? There's a movie called The Eight Mountains, which I think that year was my favorite film of the year. And I remember most of the people I recommend that movie to, including Eric, it's just a slog. So for me, my pick was Armand. Renata she's in this. It's a school drama. I thought it was immersive. Is she seeing ghosts? Possibly. Is she protecting her son? Possibly. There is a amazing scene in Armand with Renata Renza that I will never unsee, and I don't want to get too much for it. It's a static shot that's just very interesting. But again, Eric, that's a movie. I don't know if you remember Armand, but it's a movie that I know you did not like. It was just too esoteric for you. Women school.
The name sounds familiar.
Okay.
What was that one about?
It was a woman trying to defend her son in school because her son is supposedly, her child is supposedly being a troubled child, but then she's trying to fight against all the people in the area. And then, or maybe you didn't see it.
Oh, wait. Okay. I was confusing that with the Adolescence, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Adolescence.
Yeah. No. What did I think? I think I did like that one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it had kind of like a courtroom appeal, because there's like always a bunch of back and forth.
Right.
Well, what proof do you have? It's like, we can't talk about it. It's like, you're blaming my son for this, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Yeah. That one. All right. You liked it. Okay. So
So I don't know if I thought of this right, because I like this one too, but I know you did. So I just put Rebuilding, and give us a chance to talk about Rebuilding again.
Oh my gosh. Rebuilding. That should, Kelly Reese, Josh O'Connor. It's about people trying to rebuild their lives in a rural area of civilization. And wow, it's worth a second watch. That's a movie that we need to spotlight in the coming weeks. Because it's on digital right now, we got to spotlight Rebuilding. Yes, very good choice, Eric. Very, very good choice. Now let's get to hidden gems of 2025. What's your two hidden gems?
So I have Tatami, the what do you call it, the fighting sports movie. But it's not really about that, because
right?
There's a bunch of politics going on behind the scenes, and it's really good. The other one, it's about a wolf.
Oh yeah,
and to kill it. This one I will also be mentioned in this one later. It's just written very well, shot beautifully, and it's got that little bit of Red Riding Hood kind of flavor to it. Didn't really need it, but it's cool that it's there. It's just one of those movies I watch and I fell for it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, my two gems from last year. There's this before sunrise type of movie, but it's set in Tokyo. It's called One Night in Tokyo. And it was a really well done film about two relative strangers who meet in Tokyo. And because I think they have a shared knowledge of someone. I think the woman, is the girlfriend of one of his friends, and he breaks up with his girlfriend in Tokyo, and it's about their night together. I remember you liking that movie, Eric, One Night in Tokyo. I think you remember it. Or maybe not. One Night in Tokyo. Maybe not. Maybe Bruce saw One Night in Tokyo.
I don't know if it's the movie I'm thinking of.
Is
it the one where, or maybe this is a different one, where the woman, I think she was in Korea, in Seoul. But she's like looking for her birth mother.
Her birth mother,
or her birth. I think that's a different.
Okay,
movie.
Yeah, but One Night in Tokyo is one of the movies I really love. It's a hidden gem, and the other hidden gem is what Eric mentioned, To Kill a Wolf. They say it's a modern day adaptation of the Red Riding Hood tale, but that's a little bit here nor there. It's just a very interesting story about a outcast man and his friendship with a teenager he rescues on a very damp night, and you see their bond and what happens. And very interesting, nuanced film, really beautiful film. All right, next up, best movie acting ensemble. Eric, what's your ensemble that you really loved?
I'm going with, I had Wake Up Dead Man, but it's got everyone in it. It's a good movie, good acting, but I changed my mind and went with Queens of the Dead. Queens of the Dead. Yeah, a bunch of actors I don't know, but I loved all the characters. The cameos that popped up are fantastic cameos. And yeah, and zombies. Glittery zombies.
Glittery zombies. Okay, so our choice for best supporting actor and actress. No, best actor, supporting actor.
Oh, did you do your ensemble?
Yeah. Oh, my bad. My ensemble again. It's A Little Prayer. David Strathairn, Celia Weston, Jane Levy, Anna Camp, Will Pullen. Again, a lot of these actors you do know. Some of them are just character actors, but each of these people did such a good job in their respective roles in A Little Prayer. That's my best ensemble for that year. Now, for best actor and supporting actor, what's your choices, Eric?
Okay, best actor, and this could be controversial because it's probably better off for best editing, but I had to go with Indy from Good Boy. That dog carried that movie, and granted, it's a dog who's probably trained to do things, and I get that, but I fell in love with the dog and the performance they got out of that dog. I mean, dude, if a dog can carry a movie the way Indy carried that movie, you got to give it to him, because that's a pretty impressive feat. Best supporting actor, Jake Busey, Killing Mary Sue. I mentioned when I did the review, like Jake Busey, wasn't a huge Jake Busey fan. He crushed it in Killing Mary Sue. I just love his character. He's like such a little kind of wormy guy. You want to choke him, but he's also funny. I didn't know Jake Busey had it in him, and I need to see more of this Jake Busey in the future.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't fill out my best actor, supporting actor, so that's my fault. But I gotta get back to that. Let's get to my fault, guys. Best actress, supporting actress. For some reason, I don't even have that as well. I just put best actress, and that's Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths. It's a movie from Mike Leigh that came out early in 2025, and it was big in January, but it was lost in the shuffle. Very interesting. I don't know. But what about you for best actress or supporting actress as well?
So best actress, I got Danielle Deadwyler, 40 Acres. Seen a couple of her movies in 2025. I just love her. Love her in this. And yeah, she's badass. BA, as they say. Supporting actress, Alana de la Rosa Diablo, also was in Dominique.
We love Dominique.
I'm to the point where if she's in a movie, I'm watching it because she's 2 for 2 as far as I'm concerned.
Very, very good. Now, finally, we have best original screenplay. What's yours, Eric?
All right. This one, I think it's original, but because of when I say the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. To Kill a Wolf, Kelsey Taylor. Okay. It's got that little bit of Red Riding Hood, but I don't think there's enough of that to call that an adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood. I think they just use the iconography of that.
How cool was that ending for To Kill a Wolf, by the way?
I mean,
right. It's hard. It's hard to top that ending. Great ending.
Yeah. But yeah, the writings in it, the writing in it's real good. It's tight. Doesn't overstay its welcome. And yeah, it's just without giving too much away when the wolf presents itself, and then they have to deal with that.
Right.
Yeah. I really liked how that sort of played out because it seemed just realistic.
And the relationship between the middle-aged man and the young girl, the teenager.
Yeah.
Their bond is so well written because there's not a lot of exposition where someone says, oh, you mean the world to me, or you mean this. It actually is very rooted in, it's on an unspoken bond, which makes it even more powerful because it feels like something that's really realistic. So very good, Eric, on best screenplay. For me, it was, again, going back to A Little Prayer, screenwriter Angus MacLachlan. I just thought this is just a beautifully written film. Now let's get to adapted screenplay. I'm going to end with my choice. It's a big choice. I had to go with a big choice. PTA for One Battle After Another. I just really love his screenplay for that. And yeah, love that for that adapted screenplay. What about you, Derek?
So mine was worried about this one before it came out because I really liked the book. And this JT Molnar adapted The Long Walk in such a way that the changes they made the story better, enriched it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Francis Lawrence was directing it, who previously did I Am Legend, another book that I love, that adaptation is like, in a vacuum, I Am Legend's fine movie. It's not great, but it's whatever. The book's fantastic. Long Walk is the book's really good. Not quite as good as I Am Legend, but Long Walk, really enjoyed the book. And they've been trying to adapt this forever. They finally did, and JT Molnar cracked the code. I love all the changes. You can read the book and won't spoil the movie because there's a different ending, and that ending works just as well as the book's ending. There's some character choices that they had to change for the movie that tweaks things a little bit, but it tweaks it in such a rich way that really make the characters pop and sing a lot more.
Okay.
JT Molnar knocked it out of the park. So keep it up.
Very good. I still haven't seen that movie. I definitely need to see the movie. Let's go. Finally, for this, we're ending the episode with our top 5, at least our section of the episode, with our top 5 CinemAddicts movies. Eric, count them down. Your top 5 of last year.
Oh shoot, 5. I got 10. I'll just
you guys go with 10. Go with 10. Fine.
So we got Straw. A lot of people won't like this, but it's a Tyler Perry movie where her life's falling apart. And she ends up going to a bank to try to get her money out. She just wants the money that she's owed, but it becomes a whole thing. There's a bit at the end, and I'll just tell you what it is because it's not good. But the bit where it's like, oh, she's insane and none of this really happened, and it doesn't really track, but it's a small part. That, you know what? It's not a spoiler because it didn't happen in the movie. I just pretend it's not in the movie and just move on. The other one is Tales from the Woods. I don't know. It's basically 3 shorts, but
right.
One of them by Matty Doe, and all 3 shorts are great. Like even the worst one of the 3, which is the Cinderella one. I say it's the worst one, air quotes. It's still really good. It's just what's the worst Quentin Tarantino movie? It's still a 10-star movie as far as I'm concerned. Sinners is going to be on all the lists, and I wrote a script real similar to it, so obviously I'm going to put that on here. But yeah, it's a really good. Love vampires, love siege movies, and I love that they took the vampire siege movie and added like a little social relevance to it. 40 Acres.
You love that
siege
movie.
No vampires in this one, but Daniel Deadweiler and all her family just kicking all the way through. Another one, Reverence. A lot of reverence for Reverence. This was like one of those that just, and actually, because I saw King Ivory around the same time, probably could have put King Ivory here too, because the 2 share a lot of DNA. So watch Reverence and King Ivory. Good boy. I mean, best actor is Good Boy.
Yeah, very good.
Now we got The Long Walk. Mentioned The Long Walk.
Of course.
The top 4, top 3, sorry. We have Anniversary.
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, Anniversary. Yeah, very great.
This is this year's Don't Look Up for Me. I know like some people aren't quite grasping the blunt nature of what it's trying to say, but I got it. And the fact that it was written like during COVID or pre-COVID, and then it's coming out now. It's, well, this is obvious. I'm like, well, it's obvious now because it's happening now.
Yeah.
This was written well before. Another one is Sovereign with Nick Offerman and his son, and they're sovereign citizens, and just watching the slow, I don't know if you want to say downward spiral. Basically, Nick Offerman's leading himself to his own doom. And because he's a conspiracy theorist and he peddles that stuff. And apparently we had someone in the comments, in the YouTube comments, that knew them personally or was related to them.
That's interesting.
It's sad that you had to go through that, but yeah. And my number 1, can you guess? Yeah, any idea?
I wanted to say Diablo, but no.
You said Diablo would have been down here. There's some of them. They're being represented in the other one, so I'm not going to put them away. Diablo very well could have been here, but I'm going with Baltimoreans.
Oh, right. Very good.
It's a wonderful romantic comedy. 2 great lead performances that probably could have been in the best actor and best actress category. even Virginia Newcomb, but decided to leave him off that because I'm going to represent him here. Love Baltimoreans. It's a wonderful romantic comedy, and it's two people that just have like electric chemistry. Like they're just magnets. You can't pull them apart. But at the same time, they got to throw a little wrench into it because they can't be together. Like you want them to be together, but also it's like, no, you can't. But I really want you to, but you can't. It's funny, charming, sweet. The two leads are amazing, and everyone should watch it. Baltimoreans. Oh, and I mean, it starts off incredibly dark too. Completely forgot about that, but yeah.
Yeah, I need to see Baltimoreans as well. So good job, Eric, for your top 10. My top 5, very quickly. We've mentioned this already on the movie award stuff. Is number 5, Parvolo's Children of the Apocalypse. Love that. Number 4, Bob Trevino Likes It. John Leguizamo is so good. And Ferreira, I forgot her full name. In Bob Trevino Likes It. I was basically bawling at the end.
You're picking bangers.
You're right.
Bangers. I forgot about that one too. That was so a good one.
Yeah, this movie, just because it made me cry, it's a really well constructed film and one of my favorite Leguizamo performances. And the lead was, I apologize for not remembering her name. I think it's Ferreira or something. I'll look it up in a second. But that's my number 4. My number 3 is To Kill a Wolf. My number 2 is Tatami. Eric said, I love Tatami so much. And my number 1 is, again, A Little Prayer, which it's one of these things where, as a family drama, I'm surprised that I put a family drama as my number 1 of the year, just because of, when you think of family drama, how fascinating could it be? But the fact that it's such a really well done film about love and unconditional love, as well as heartache, and every performance and writing to me is so pitch perfect and real that for a little bit, I didn't feel like I was watching a movie. And it's probably one of the few family dramas I can watch over and over again. There's some nice light-hearted, I don't want to say comedy, lighter moments. It's just one of those special movies that hopefully one of these days you'll get to see it, Eric, and Bruce gets to see this really wonderful film as well. Now, let me go to Bob Trevino Likes It. Let me just get to the lead actress, who I think is, Barbie Ferreira. She's so good in this. She's so good in Bob Trevino Likes It. All right, that is it for our movie awards. Eric, you want to say anything before we get out of here? And you start work in a couple minutes. I think tonight, right? You work tonight?
Yeah. So running some karaoke and all that. Yeah, I'm the Parvolo's. Great call. Bob Trevino Likes It. Another one I completely forgot came out. I think 2025 was a pretty good year.
Very good year.
I think it's weird because the movies that we watch, it feels like we're in a different sort of realm than other people. Because people would be like, 2025 was a bad year because these movies came out and they weren't good. I'm like, oh, I didn't even watch those. Those are blockbuster stuff that I had no interest in.
100%.
But then we bring up like Parvolo's or To Kill a Wolf or Tatami or like all these movies. These are not movies that are in the, I brought up Sinners and The Long Walk, and those are definitely, people are talking about those. But for the most part, right, a lot of the movies we picked flew under the radar, which is unfortunate, but that's why you listen to us and go check them out. They're pretty good, especially Diablo. Diablo's really good.
And actually, Eric, for next week, I haven't gotten our movies for next week. If you can, it's only 87 minutes. Hopefully, you might restart as well, but The Confession might be something that you might.
I'll be watching that before next week for sure.
As a writer, I'd like to see what you thought about the ending of that movie. Okay, because it's a really.
Want to be a writer that never sold a screenplay?
No,
this
but
is my thoughts on.
Would love to hear what you think
of someone who did write something.
I'd like to see what you think of it, and because this script for The Confession took him years to write and to develop, and the movie was shot 2.5 years ago. So it'll be interesting to see what you think of the ending, because I think you will appreciate it. So that is it for this installment of CinemAddicts, episode 327. We did cover a lot. We're not done yet. We got Bruce Perky with his reviews. He has a couple of reviews. I think one of them is Shuffle, I guess. And then he also has All You Need Is Kill. And what else does he have? He has his own take of Dead Man's Wire. That is it for this episode of CinemAddicts. Again, thank you guys so much for your support. And Eric, you're going to get us out of here. Say something before we get out of here.
Yeah. Let us know what you thought of our picks. Which ones did you see? Which ones didn't you? Which one? I didn't see that, but it sounds pretty good. I'm going to check that one out. Let us know what you think. And I don't know, this is going up on YouTube, right?
Yeah, this will be going up.
That thing right down there somewhere. It's a common area.
Yes.
I'm sure you got your top 5, top 10 of the year.
Oh,
best
very
actors,
good.
best actresses. Feel free to put yours there.
Feel free.
I will read all of them. I will read the none that end up showing up down there. But if you so desire, put them down because I'd be interested in hearing what your thoughts are.
All right, very good. That is it for CinemAddicts, but not really it, because here is Bruce Perky over at the Cinematic.
Another cinematic, the attic of cinema. This is a normal episode where I have pretty much all new movies, all new screeners. Generally movies that you probably have not heard of because they're not major releases, but ones that we got screeners for. So I've got 3 movies for you this week. But before I start that, I will quickly mention that this week we also have our CinemAddicts 2025 awards. So essentially it's our Oscars, our year-end list, whatever you want to call it. And if you have already taken in a ton of lists, you have a pretty good feel of what all the critics think are the top 10 movies of the year. I got an idea of what everyone is praising. Then you might check out my list and Greg and Eric's list, because we tend to focus more on the independent movies, hidden gems, movies that haven't got quite as much press, movies that maybe show up as a 2024 release, even though they didn't make it to America till 2025. So if you are looking to add to a list of movies that you maybe want to check out that are really good, that are not talked about very much, check out our awards, and I bet you're going to find a few. So that's just a little plug for another drop that we have this week. By the time you hear this, you should already be able to get a hold of that as well on the feed. Okay, so this week I have 3 movies. I have a movie called Shuffle, a documentary. I have an anime movie called All You Need Is Kill. And I've got a theatrical movie, a brand new movie by Gus Van Sant, of all people. He hasn't done much real movies for a while, called Dead Man's Wire. So I guess if there were any big release for this week, it would probably be, for us at least, in our category, it would probably be Dead Man's Wire. But I'm going to go with All You Need Is Kill first. All You Need Is Kill is a movie that actually I've been excited about since I saw the trailer pop up for it. I don't know, in the last month or so. It's distributed by G Kids, as you might expect for anime. I'm not a big giant anime person, but I do keep my eyes on certain anime projects, and some of the anime projects have become some of my favorite movies of the last few years. So it's always cool to check out what's going on in that category of movies. All You Need to Kill is directed by Kenichiro Akimoto and Yukinori Nakamura. I didn't look up what their past was. I didn't see them doing a lot of major directorial projects, but I think they've been involved in different anime projects in various capacities for quite a while. I did see they had a lot of different projects there, but nothing that I've really glommed onto. This one, though, caught my eye for a couple of reasons. One thing about it is I really like the look of it. And I think for anime or any animation, the look is a big part of it. Does it have an animation style that is appealing to you or interesting or cool? Think of things like Into the Spider-Verse, not anime, but the animation style itself is one of the selling points of those movies. For me, I like the style of this movie because to me, it reminds me a little bit of Mobius. Not Morbius, but Mobius. If you don't know who Mobius is a famous, kind of seminal sci-fi illustrator, especially in the 70s, 80s era. And they didn't do a ton of movies. They did one we saw, and what was the name of that movie? I can't remember the name of that movie, but if you ever saw Heavy Metal Magazine or some of those illustrations from that era, you probably saw some of the work of Mobius. And I feel like this anime, though not quite as intricate as Mobius's works, in just the style and look, I feel like it hits some similar notes, which is really cool for me. Anyway, and the other big thing about this, and you're just thinking to yourself, Bruce, anime is not my thing at all. I just don't. It's like country music. It's not my thing, so I'm not going to listen to any of it. But there's always some reason that That one country artist might catch your eye for whatever reason. Or in this case, why would this anime movie catch your eye? One thing is, it is based on the original story that was the inspiration and the basis of Live, Die, Repeat, aka Edge of Tomorrow. That movie was based on the short novel All You Need Is Kill. Now, that movie with Tom Cruise is highly changed from the original story. It does have some very core elements to it. The alien invasion, the time loop aspects, a man and a woman teaming up to fight the aliens and to figure out how to combat the time loop. All those aspects are here, but I believe that this version, All You Need Is Kill, is much closer to the original vision and the original story of that novel. So once again, I haven't read the novel, so I'm taking it on what I've read and what I've seen, that is the case. So if you loved that novel, or if you even like that movie and you're like, I would be interested in seeing a different take, then I think this is something you might check out. And that is another thing. If you're going to do a remake or a different version of a movie that has been out in the last 10 to 20 years, bring it to us in a very different form. So sure, this is still a time loop, but everything else about it, the look, the alien invasion, the kind of the style, the basic storyline, like the beats, a lot of it is very, very, very different. First of all, this is not like militaristic in the way that, I'm going to just call it Edge of Tomorrow, in the way Edge of Tomorrow was. So the basic story here, once again, you know about the time loop part, but let's just kind of get into the basic idea. There's been this thing called the Darol. The Darol, Darol, is like this giant, if you imagine like a giant alien tree that just falls and like plants itself into the surface of the earth and spreads out these giant roots for 20 kilometers. That is the alien invasion that's occurred on Earth. And when the movie starts, it's been 1 year since that quote-unquote invasion. But the thing is, basically this giant tree root Darol thing, multicolored, really beautiful, but also just gigantic, has just been sitting there doing nothing. So it's an invasion, but it's not really invaded per se. It's just, what do we do with this? And humanity, in this case Japan, has been trying to slowly dig into it and research it and maybe see if how they can remove it. They're just trying to figure out what to do with it. So they have like an outpost of people that every day go out in their kind of their spacesuit style suits to do work on the roots of this giant, I'm just going to call it a tree, it's easier to understand. And that's kind of the state of the world. There's news reports about it. The rest of the world is pretty much normal, quote unquote. And when we open up the very beginning of this, we start with Rita. She's a worker there. It's a normal day. She's solitary. She likes to keep to herself. She has her headphones on to block out the world. You see her going up on the roots of the tree, doing her normal work with everyone else. And there is like a big like electromagnetic pulse that goes out. And all of a sudden these smaller creatures appear and essentially murder everybody. And the creatures, if you look at the trailer, you'll see what the creatures look like. They almost have flower-like heads, and other than that, they're just cool looking and odd. And they seem to have electromagnetic pulses involved in their attacks as well, along with just like claws and things. And as you guess, she dies almost immediately, and then wakes back up same time next morning, same way. The world is exactly the same. All the events that you encountered in the first 10 minutes happen again, like any old time loop movie would. And the first, 30 minutes, 20 minutes of this movie is her slowly figuring out, very similar to Groundhog Day, figuring out what she can and cannot affect in this world, and slowly starting to try to alter her ability to survive longer and longer and longer, and maybe escape her death. And then eventually, of course, go from that to, can she stop the invasion of creatures? Can she defeat the creatures? And she experiments with weapons, and she experiments with avoiding the inevitable attack and all these different things. And that's all very entertaining and cool to look at. And of course, like any of those movies, you get to see her all the different encounters that occur over and over and over at the same time, those all kind of start to take on different characteristics. I think the most fun is watching her kind of develop her suit into something as more of a battle armor than it was at the beginning, which was just a protective spacesuit style of suit. And then also seeing her trying to develop a weapon that may or may not work against these creatures. And in that way, it's, to me, very different than Edge of Tomorrow. It's almost okay in Edge of Tomorrow, of course, when Tom Cruise discovers Emily Blunt's character. Emily Blunt has basically been doing this over and over again to try to learn how to kill these creatures. So I guess in a sense it's similar, but we're in the opposite point of view in this movie. But it's also very, very different. Just trust me on that one. The characters are very different. The world and the society that we're watching attack is very different as well. And we'll just say there is a point where she meets up with Keiji. Keiji is played by Natsuki Hae. Rita is played by Ai, by the way. And Keiji is someone she meets up with, and that's when the true kind of team up to try to battle this invasion begins. And of course, variations start to really expand out at that point from the basic time loop idea. And it really broadens out the movie. Once again, I think it's beautiful. The animation is awesome. The adventure aspect and the time loop aspect is really well handled. I think that makes it very easy to get engaged with, whereas some anime can be a lot harder for the kind of more, I guess, casual viewer to latch into. I think a lot of times when you're just a casual movie watcher that just watches, the only animation you watch is Disney or maybe Pixar, anime can seem like a different planet altogether. And I think this is something that story-wise is pretty easy to understand and to go with. There might be a little bit of stuff towards the end where it kind of gets into theories and how the Daryl works and how to maybe possibly defeat the Daryl that you might get a little bit like, okay, this is getting a little too sci-fi with me. But I think still the average person could understand enough to be like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, and let's go with it. I had a lot of fun with this. I think it was pretty solid anime sci-fi. Like I said, it looked great. I liked the characters. I enjoyed the world. This is not to a level of like Belle, which is like one of my favorite movies of the year. It's not going to have quite that sweeping emotional punch that some anime gets. This is much more, like I said, it has some emotional stuff in it, but I think it's more of a outright adventure. That being said, I still think it's really good. So I think I'm going to go 4.5 stars for All You Need Is Kill. I can highly recommend that. This is a really good, solid movie and a lot of fun, especially people who are looking for some interesting sci-fi in the beginning of the year, which is not probably going to be on the horizon anywhere else. So All You Need Is Kill, 4.5 stars. All right, next up, Dead Man's Wire by Gus Van Sant. Now, Gus Van Sant, do you love Gus Van Sant? Do you hate Gus Van Sant? Where do you come down? Like I said, I don't think he's done a lot of feature movies in the last 15 years. Milk, I think, is the biggest one I can think of. Other than that, I can't even hardly think of what other things he's done. Before that, of course, he had his, the Lonely Guys trilogy or whatever it was called, where he had Elephant and then Last Days, and the other one, I can't forget the name of it, Frank or something like that. It has a name. I don't think Frank's right. Either way, I love Elephant quite a bit. I really hated his Psycho remake, which like most people did. I think that Good Will Hunting is, although it kind of veers towards being a little sappy and saccharine, I still think it's a really solid movie and underrated to some degree. I think it got painted as a certain type of movie. I think it's better than that. Drugstore Cowboy, and also My Own Private Idaho, kind of quintessential 90s indie movie fare. So he's done a lot of really interesting things. I honestly think Elephant might be one of his strongest, if not his strongest movie, underrated as well. So what is Dead Man's Wire? First of all, Dead Man's Wire stars as Tony Bill Skarsgård, as M.L. Hall, Al Pacino, although he has a pretty small role here, but it's an important role. DJ, name isn't DJ, he's a DJ, a disc jockey, a Fred, played by Coleman Domingo. You've got Dick Hall, who's the son of M.C. Hall, and Dick Hall is played by Gray Montgomery. And then you also have Kelly Lynch in here in a small role, Carrie Elwes in a small role as Michael. And this is based on a true story that took place in February 8th, 1987 in Indianapolis. And it's got a great hook. So the great hook of Dead Man's Wire, and this is the real story. Of course, at the very end of this movie, you see some actual photos and some actual footage of the real event. But the basic idea is that you've got this Tony character, this Bill Skarsgård character. He has a big long box, which you always wonder, someone has a big long box, like what's in there, a gun? What's going on? This always looks suspicious. He walks into this Meridian Mortgage, walks into this mortgage place. He asks for the boss, who is Al Pacino. And Al Pacino's character is away on vacation in Florida, so he's not there, which of course puts a wrench in the works immediately for Tony. Anyway, Tony's really angry. They eventually say, well, you can talk to his son. His son's running the boat while the boss is gone. So Bill reluctantly accepts that, meets up with the, I guess, vice president. He meets up with, what's his name, Dick Hall, and he immediately has got like a grievance against the company because Tony had some kind of a development deal where he was going to develop this property and make this whole like a mall or like this kind of whole retail area, and somehow he feels like he got cheated. He got cheated basically financially to out of this, and it kind of ruined him. So what he does immediately, he's getting upset. He opens the box. He's got a shotgun. Dick immediately is, oh my gosh. And this escalates right out of the gate. There's a Dead Man's Wire, that's the name of the movie, attached to the shotgun, which basically is a contraption where you hook the wire around the neck of the other person, and it is hooked to you and the gun. So that the shooter, the gun, and the other person in front of you all have wires attached to it. And it's in such a way that if the shooter is killed, he'll let go of the gun and the weight will cause the gun to go off and shoot the person in the head. Or if the person who's got the gun aimed at him tries to run, the wire will pull the trigger and cause the gun to shoot and shoot the person in the head. So essentially it's a way to enforce the person be your hostage with a gun basically wired to their face or wired to their neck. And that's the setup. And you're like, oh my gosh. And immediately it's on. And you think this is going to be a hostage situation. They're going to be stuck in this high-rise building of this mortgage place. But immediately it hits the road. And that's where it starts to get interesting. And like, Bill Skarsgård has other plans, and he wants to take Dick to a certain place where he can control the situation more securely. And of course, police are immediately there, and you think, oh my gosh, they're going to try to shoot him all right away. And he basically points out to him what the situation is, and they all have to back off and watch what's happening. The news, of course, comes running out. The DJ, played by Coleman Domingo, of course, does reports on it, and eventually gets involved because he is a beloved DJ in the city and beloved by the Tony character. And that's kind of your setup. In a lot of ways, this is trying to just really recreate that 70s feel in both kind of the production values and also in just the look of the film. It tries to really capture that kind of more grainy, gritty, washed out color. It even has like, Gus Van Sant will intersperse like still shots that are supposed to mimic the photos that would be taken by the news reporters on the scene. It tries to really recreate that kind of really fuzzy video feed look of any of the live feeds that are occurring. So it really plays around with the media, goes back and forth with all these different formats to very, very, I think, effectively recreate the look and feel of both movies and actual news reports and just the times that it's from. And of course, the fashion and everything is all on point. Everyone here is smoking. Everyone is like suitably sweaty looking. I think I always feel about movies and like life in that time, it just looks sweatier. I think literally the deodorant that they had in the 70s was not very good. You had these Dial and Ban sprays that were supposed to be deodorants, but they weren't very good antiperspirants. I think people just sweated a lot. That was my feeling. I think air conditioning wasn't very good either. My impression, my memory of that time period is it was just a sweaty, just tense and unhappy time for the world. Not that it's great now, but it was definitely unhappy then. So this should be a great movie, right? It should be fantastic. It is good. I'm going to say that. It's good. It's worth watching. If you don't know anything about the story, I think the story is interesting. The problem is, what makes it not be great for me is a couple things. One thing is, Dog Day Afternoon exists. If you haven't seen Dog Day Afternoon, it's one of the great 70s movies, one of the great 70s crime movies, but one of the great 70s movies, full stop. And Al Pacino, of course, is the star of that, and he is fantastic in that. And of course, it is a pressure cooker, hostage, real life situation that happened, and it's their dramatized version of that. And it has got great characters, great pacing, full on tension, also a great human story and pathos, and the constant threat of an explosion of violence from one side or the other, whether it's the cops or the Al Pacino side of things, who's holding the hostages, right? This movie is really obviously trying to capture that sort of thing in a current day. And one of the big problems with that to me is, first of all, you're doing it now, so it doesn't feel as authentic as it did then, because back then it was recreating a situation that was only a couple years previous. It was only a few years previous to when the movie was actually made. The times looked and felt and actually were very similar to the times they were representing. Whereas now it's a vintage, it's a nostalgia piece almost. It's trying to recreate this time period. And although, like I said, the production design here is fantastic and impeccable, everything from like I said, the film stock to the look, to everything about it, the soundtrack, all that stuff is fantastic. There are elements here that just feel like dress up. They feel like 70s cosplay. And I think that hurts this movie. I don't think the script is bad per se. I think it is interesting. It is interesting to watch these characters. I would say that inherently this one doesn't feel quite as tense as Dog Day Afternoon, which is weird because this movie has a person with a gun like wired to their head for pretty much the whole movie. So it should feel as tense, if not more tense, than Dog Day Afternoon. But I think there was something about that direction in Dog Day Afternoon and the acting in Dog Day Afternoon that was intense. And it just felt intense and it felt genuine. And here I felt fairly often, not all the time, but fairly often in this movie, it didn't feel genuine. I felt the acting. And that's my second big gripe about it, is I think that depending on the person here, I think the acting is great or not so great. And I think that's another thing that kind of takes you out at times. So for example, Coleman Domingo is fantastic as kind of the smooth DJ guy, kind of world weary, but also very trepidatious to get involved in this kind of situation. And every time he's on screen, I think he owned it, and I loved the movie. And I almost wished that, even though he might not have been reality that he was involved a ton, I wished he would have been involved more. I wish he would have said, let's change reality and make Coleman Domingo, like his character, a second lead almost in this movie. And I think it would have been a notch better. The problem is, and I would also mention Dick, the hostage, is also fantastic in this movie, and it's really good. And I think he, to me, is like the best example of capturing the feel and the mood and the tension of what this movie wants to be overall. He is somebody, I think I could imagine his character the way he is right now, just dropping right into Dog Day Afternoon and being perfect. Like I could imagine he's the bank manager or something in Dog Day Afternoon, and just bang, and there it is, works. The big weakness, there's two. I didn't write her name down, but there's the news reporter, a woman that we see. I didn't write her actress name down, which is probably good because I don't think she did a great job. She just didn't work at all for me, and I don't know, it didn't work at all. She wasn't a main character in this, so I don't think it's a huge detriment overall to the movie. The biggest detriment overall to the movie, unfortunately, is Bill Skarsgård. I think he's very much feels like he's acting. I know, Bruce, he's acting. It's a movie. He's supposed to act, but you feel him acting. It doesn't feel genuine. I don't feel like he's embodying a character. I think he's portraying a character. I feel always that he's like putting on kind of an accent and mannerisms and all these things that is trying to make himself seem like this person. And I always just felt like it was Bill Skarsgård overacting. And I was thinking about it as I was watching it. It's like he's doing fine, but not for this movie. It needs to be really grounded, and I need to absolutely believe I'm in this moment because it's playing a real situation that actually occurred, and I need to believe this character. And I was thinking Skarsgård, I'm thinking back now, and I don't think he's a great actor. I think He's a great character actor. So I think he's a great in a role where he doesn't need to be believable as an actual human being in the world. And you're like, Bruce, that's acting. What are you even talking about? So no, but think about it. He's best known and he's best received as Pennywise. And he's fantastic for Pennywise because Pennywise is a cartoonish, over the top, like magical character. So you can just go with all these crazy mannerisms and things, and it works because it's not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be monstrous. But when you ask him to play a real life, nuanced, intense character in the real world, I don't think Skarsgård is equipped for that. So maybe I'm wrong. He'll prove me wrong and he'll do some Oscar nominated roles in the coming future and I'll think, oh my gosh, he blew me away. But as of now, I think Skarsgård might want to stay with these kind of crazy over the top characters that are supposed to be crazy over the top characters because he's crazy and over the top here and he shouldn't be. Okay. So Dead Man's Wire. I would still recommend it. I think I'll give it, I really wanted to love this movie and I felt like I was going to love this movie, but honestly, I don't think I can go above 3 stars. I'm going to go 3 stars for Dead Man's Wire. It should have been great and it had all the elements to be great except for a few, namely the actors. So that's a big one, especially when your main character is a weak link. So Dead Man's Wire, 3 stars, worth a watch, but maybe not in the theater. Maybe wait for it to come on a streaming service and give it a try. It will work for some people more than others. Okay, last I've got Shuffle. Shuffle is a documentary directed by Benjamin Flaherty. He's the filmmaker, the documentarian, and he also is one of those documentarians where he's kind of part of the story in that you hear him talking to the people sometimes, and there is you get some idea about his past. It is involved and part of the story. And why is that? Because this is all about sober homes, sober facilities, rehab facilities, and the massive amount of fraud and misuse and abuse that's occurring in that industry. And you find out pretty quickly that the filmmaker Benjamin is continuing to be a recovering addict himself. And he's been successfully recovered for quite a while, but it's an ongoing process. And so you feel like there's a level of connection that he has with the different people that we meet in this movie that is really at a deeper level than you'd get from someone just that was outside of that world. He also really feels like he gains a trust and an intimacy with the people that we meet that I think another filmmaker may not have gotten. He's able to basically, they feel comfortable and they feel like they have one of their own to talk to, somebody who would understand their plight, because it's a person who also has struggled with addiction themselves and been very low at points in their life. So that's the basic context you have to understand with this film. And I think it's really, really effective. The basic idea is you meet a bunch of different addicted people that have gone to various different facilities. A few of them you got here is you've got AJ. He's a broker. A broker means a person who goes out to recruit people to go to various facilities. And once again, that's part of the scam. And he is a whistleblower on the whole system. And he stays somewhat anonymous, but his role is very important here. Of course, you got Ben, who's the filmmaker. You've got Corey, and you've got Nicole. You got a bunch of different people here. And you got Daniel. Daniel goes back and forth between California and Florida. Corey is one of the main dudes we meet, and he's constantly having trouble relapsing. He's one of those guys that goes to facility after facility after facility. And you meet him and you feel like he's constantly on his grind. He's constantly gaming the system, but he's also tragically trapped in the system, and he knows it, and you feel it, and you really know that he's like one of those people that's just barely keeping his nose above water, and he knows it, and he's trying to swim, but at the same time, you're just constantly worried for him. And there's Nicole, and she is in her late 20s. And she's almost considered over the hill for an addict. And once again, what does that mean? But you'll find out as the movie goes on. And you feel like she's once again someone who's been through the system so long that she is on the verge of just absolutely failing and either overdosing and dying or just falling into absolute homelessness or something. So you've got very compelling and engaging human stories at the core of this. And what this movie does is it really shows you Once again, this starts in about 2018 when he starts filming, and it goes on for years. So he follows these people for quite a few years. So you do get kind of a really good broad spectrum of kind of their experiences. But what you're doing is you're basically finding out that a lot of these facilities are really just using these addicts as just money generating tools. And they talk about how in this world, one single addict with a good insurance plan, and insurance is a big part of it, with a good insurance plan, one of these addicts can easily generate $1 million for a facility. Like one person in a year can generate $1 million. So it's really talking about how these facilities will really encourage a few things. First of all, they want to push them through all these levels. They want to push them through detox. They want to push them through inpatient. They want to push them through outpatient. They want to have tons of tests that are unnecessary. Once again, they point out this is not every facility, but it's a lot of facilities. There's a lot of really disreputable facilities that are doing all these things to generate more and more money off of these people that is unnecessary. And they also want to get them all the way through the system and then very much encourage, not officially, but unofficially, they encourage them to relapse. Because if they can get them back through that cycle, they make money off them all over again. And this movie does a really good job of showing kind of the vicious circle of that and the really cynical and you might say evil way that some of these programs just milk these people's insurance and just the health and the mental and well-being of these people just for a few dollars more. They want to keep getting more money out of these people, keep getting their cards, keep recruiting them to systems that they promise a greatness from, but then also dangling money at the end of they basically literally pay off a lot of these addicts with cash to get them to go through their system. And of course, by successfully achieving this, by getting cash, many of them immediately relapse because they have just like thousands of dollars in their pocket. What are they going to do? They're going to probably go out and buy drugs and they're going to be back in the facility. So it's tragic, it's maddening, frustrating, and as you might guess, with all the people I mentioned at the beginning, all the different human stories that we encounter, some are going to end very badly and you're just not sure who, and you're always worried that someone's going to end up dead. Definitely some of them end up very badly and some of them don't. And I was wondering about 2/3 of the way through this, is it going to just be telling us how terrible the system is, which is an interesting and compelling story. But the truth is, no, it does show you also that there are reputable and successful systems and facilities out there. Now, it also points out that the success rate, even of the reputable facilities, is very low. Like escaping addiction is extremely difficult to do, but there are ways to approach it that are like actually valid and actually in the best interest of the patients, and not looking to just use these people for insurance cards and money. So a really interesting kind of approach and a side of the whole addiction struggle and story in America that I have not seen before. So I think in that aspect, it's a really good documentary. I'm going to go 4 stars for Shuffle. I think that also something like this is great for people to see. All of this like political crap going around the world right now, where we're shooting boats out of the water because they're going to supposedly, we don't know, but supposedly going to bring drugs to America and kill our kids. It's, yeah, sure. But the real problem in America is not, is not the drugs, not that drugs are getting here. It's that we don't take addiction seriously. We don't take the root causes that are bringing people to seek addiction and to be stuck in addiction and to be drowned in a constant world of addiction and recovery and addiction and recovery and overdose. We are not dealing with the core problems in America that are causing and creating and perpetuating a constant state of addiction. So I think this is a very interesting way to look at the humanity of the situation, as well as the way that the economics are being abused by companies in a way that's much more pernicious, in my opinion, than a single boat leaving a country far away has brown people that we think we can shoot out of the water. There's my little political bent. Anyway, Shuffle, a solid documentary worth checking out. And that is all I have for this week. Some pretty interesting movies. I think Shuffle is really great, and I think that All You Need Is Kill is very, very solid entertainment if you're looking for something that's not too heavy and a lot of fun and beautiful to look at. I would go with All You Need Is Kill. And that's all I've got to say this week. That is the end of this basic cinematic. But once again, on the way out, I'll give my normal goodbye. I'm not allowed to say the bad word because we're supposed to be a clean show, and Greg will edit me because that's how Greg rolls. So I'll just say fudge ice. If you don't know what fudge ice means, look at the news, pay attention, because we got problems right here in River City. All right, everybody, talk to you soon.